My fellow Americans, I present to you the Commonwealth. Here we are not simply presenting a real estate development project. We are inaugurating a deliberate rejuvenation of civilization and the first movement toward a resurrected Christendom in the heart of Texas and on the rolling hills of Spring Valley. The first light of a new American Renaissance is rising. And on this ground, the kingdom is being prepared. And that kingdom is the Commonwealth. Shiloh is the beginning. We intend to rejuvenate the American dream with the same frontiersman spirit and establish a sanctuary of prosperity, a refuge for families, and a commonwealth for a reborn Christendom. Before Shiloh comes, we must speak plainly about the current condition of America. But we stand together at an hour that future historians will study with trembling hands. They will write of a time when the greatest republic on earth began to crack along the fault lines that were not merely political or economic, but spiritual. We feel those fractures in our bones. We see greed dressed up as governance, poverty persisting in a land of extraordinary abundance, pollution clouding the skies over fields our ancestors farmed with reverence, predation on the youth through screens, algorithms, and systems that profit from their confusion. Moral decay not simply tolerated but celebrated as progress. The sacred traded for the sensational. What our forefathers called vice, our culture now calls entertainment. What they held as virtue, our culture now calls oppression. The freedoms that generations bled for, the right to raise strong families, to steward land, to build enterprise, have too often been quietly bartered away for comfort, convenience, and the illusion of safety. We see a medical system that depends on chronic illness to sustain its profits. A media apparatus that engineers outrage, distorts truth, and manufactures consent. Bureaucracies that strangle small businesses under compliance and code, while multinational conglomerates write the rules. An economy that teaches our children to finance their lives on debt and call it opportunity. An agricultural regime that produces food dense with chemicals and empty of life, stripping our soils and poisoning our waters. And when many look for meaning, they are handed bread and circus instead of purpose and responsibility. In this, we are not unique. For students of history recognize this pattern. Now we are living in the late chapters of an imperial script. Our society parallels the fall of Rome. Entertainment over duty, spectacle over substance, currency debased, families fractured, oligarchs entrenched, golden idols replaced faith in God. And when we look honestly at America today, we can see the same signs. Our money inflated, our families disintegrating, our youth medicated, isolated, radicalized, or numbed. Our politics captured by corporate interests rather than anchored in the common good. Our culture discipling citizens not toward excellence, but toward indulgence. So we must ask with absolute clarity, what kind of world will our children inherit? What kind of land will they walk? What stories will they tell about us? These are the questions that have been haunting me for nearly a decade. There is a hard truth we must face. We cannot reasonably expect the very systems that profit from decay to heal this country. The incentives are inverted. The machinery is too vast. The interests are too entrenched. The moral vision has been too thoroughly eroded. We could spend the next 50 years trying to fix the machine, and in doing so, lose the very generations we are bound to protect. This is not cynicism. This is realism. You cannot build a cathedral on a foundation that has rotted through. You must restore the foundation, or pour a new one. So I began asking different questions. What if the answer is not to salvage the entire old world, but to build a new one at scale we can truly govern and steward wisely? What if we could create a prototype community, grounded in faith, anchored in land, powered by regenerative economics, that could stand as a living answer to a dying system? What if we could build not just a neighborhood, but a micro-civilization? With its own local economy, its own cultural backbone, its own educational and apprenticeship systems, its own microgrid infrastructure, its own covenant-based governance, fully aligned with natural law and faith in God. What began as a childhood dream for my family's land turned into this question. If America is decaying like Rome, what are we going to do about it? How can we not just endure but prosper? I did not arrive at these answers overnight. For nearly a decade, I walked the land in Spring Valley, and the land my forefathers worked, the land I played on as a child, asking God to show me the way. There were years where the dream felt unbearable. The gap between the vision and my resources seemed unsurmountable. The path was unclear. The burdens felt heavy. The world grew darker, faster than I could act. There were seasons of depression and doubt, seasons of being misunderstood, seasons of standing alone. But the more society declined, the clearer the calling became. If not this, what? If not now, when? If not us, who? In 2020, the veil was lifted for millions. Supply chains cracked, mental health collapsed, cities burned, and censorship intensified. Trust imploded. It became obvious that resilience is no longer a lifestyle choice, but a moral duty. From that point on, the vision of Shiloh and the Commonwealth ceased to be a dream. It became a mandate. I went to work, drafting, designing, modeling, month after month, year after year, and then destiny called. The doors began to open. Potential donors said, "Send us the proposal." And that simple request unleashed what had been incubating for years. In a matter of weeks, almost 1,000 pages of plans were refined and codified. Hundreds of hours in November 2025 alone. Years of prior foundation. Why? Because the moment had arrived. So let me now take you to the land itself. Picture this. The rolling hills of Central Texas. 86 acres, shaped by 5 generations of one family. On this land, we are not merely putting houses on dirt. We are building a campus of civilization. And Shiloh is that vision made tangible. It emerges as a countercurrent to the prevailing tide, a prototype prepared for the world that will come next. It is a clear, practical declaration that civilization can be beautiful again, community can be meaningful again, and faith can govern wisely again. We are not agitating for revolution. We are laboring for renaissance, for the restoration of what is good, true, beautiful, and enduring. We are building Shiloh within the greater architecture of the Commonwealth. Simply put, a private parallel society. In this world, but not of it. Deliberately engineered for multi-generational prosperity. It rests on 3 foundational pillars, integrating the spiritual, environmental, and the economic into one single, coherent whole. Christ-centered sovereignty, regenerative land stewardship, economic interdependence. Aristotle taught that the purpose of community is to not merely survive, but to live well, to foster prosperity, and to cultivate virtue. The polis is civilization in miniature, a moral framework that empowers the people to fulfill their God-given potential. Shiloh is where that architecture becomes a living shelter, the first sanctuary of the Commonwealth, a living prototype of the polis, a holy ground dedicated to the work of renewal. It is a testament that the wisdom of the ancients and the truth of Christ can still shape a glorious destiny for the people. Shiloh is the first light of this new Christendom, a sovereign sanctuary where virtue is cultivated, families are strengthened, industry is sanctified, land is stewarded, governance is administered with integrity, fellowship is lived in earnest, and Christ is enthroned as Lord of the Commonwealth. This is the threshold we stand upon tonight, and what we choose to build here today will echo into eternity. Shiloh is not just a subdivision, nor is it another eco-village project. It is a regenerative community organism, a living polis where every civilizational system is woven into a harmonious whole. Land and agriculture, energy and water, housing and hospitality, culture and education, governance and justice, economy and craftsmanship, where each system is designed to breathe, to respond, and to generate life. A prototype ecosystem for a new frontier of civilization. At the heart of this design is a private, mission-aligned economy, a closed-loop financial system engineered to reward contribution rather than speculation, enable development without dependence on conventional debt, insulate the mission from external financial coercion, and secure generational stability. And at full maturity of Shiloh, we will host a great hall and community sanctuary for worship, ceremonies, councils, festivals, and feasts. A village market and makers district, where artisans, farmers, ranchers, and guild members trade directly with residents, members, and guests. A hospitality and lodging district, with glamping sites, cabins, tiny homes, bunkhouses, RV pads, and a boutique hotel, a holistic wellness and birth center, gym, and dojo for holistic health, strength, and multi-generational vitality. A workshop and fabrication hub, where small-scale manufacturing, craftsmanship, and trades are provided. Greenhouses, gardens, orchards, and pasture land, not just for food, but for soil regeneration, seed saving, and animal husbandry. Paths, gazebos, small stages, and gathering groves. A landscape designed for both contemplation and celebration. All this is designed as a 3-region living campus, where each region functions like an organ within a single body, distinct in role, interdependent in function, unified in purpose. Northland is Shiloh's cultural threshold and public face. Here stands the Great Hall, the festival grounds and amphitheater, a robust artisan marketplace, and guild storefronts, as well as creekside tiny homes and glamping units. Northland is where culture becomes commerce, and commerce becomes community. Central Shiloh is the institutional and spiritual heart. It houses the Promethean Institute, the Holistic Wellness and Birth Center, Sanctuary Gardens and Cathedral, Shiloh Suites, the boutique hotel. This is where mind, body, and spirit converge. Southland is the hearth of daily life. It includes 80-plus residential units, family homes, tiny homes, and villas, bunkhouses for apprentices, volunteers, and retreat cohorts, greenhouse complexes, and a 10-acre farm zone. The Shiloh HQ, serving as the campus, utility, command center, and hub. Southland is where households grow, food is cultivated, and community becomes kin. And every structure on Shiloh is a power-producing resource management node. Energy is not outsourced, it is stewarded. The system is built in 3 tiers: node-level autonomy, 3 regional hubs, and a campus-wide network. The result is resilience against grid failure, radically reduced utility costs, and a surplus capacity for future revenue engines. This is infrastructure designed for freedom. And here, water is not just a commodity, it is a sacred trust. Shiloh's closed-loop water system integrates rainwater harvesting, atmospheric water generation, and advanced purification and reuse. Gray water nourishes orchards. Organic waste becomes biogas and compost. The land is healed as the people are sustained. And I want to emphasize that Shiloh is not an isolated experiment. It is strategically positioned at the heart of a Texas renaissance. Texas is a magnet for disillusioned families escaping overcrowded cities, the energy epicenter of America. It is spiritually alive, economically dynamic, and culturally independent, increasingly the frontier of sovereignty within the Union. And we are located in the Texaplex corridor, between Dallas and Austin and Waco, where population is growing rapidly. Shiloh is designed to become a spiritual beacon, an economic anchor, a cultural landmark, and a template for dozens of future communities throughout Texas and beyond. When we speak of the next frontier, it will not be Mars, it will be places like Shiloh. At maturity, Shiloh is projected to become one of the most productive and transformative regenerative developments in the nation. With $47 million in annual economic activity, 100 to 200 direct jobs created, 4 to 7 times land value appreciation, and, as a cultural impact, a regional hub for the arts, craftsmanship, and festivals, revival of traditional skills, 50 to 80 annual events, while becoming a sanctuary for healing, a center for Christian Renaissance thought, and a national model of faith-based stewardship. And Shiloh is just the proof of concept. It is the beginning of something greater. What we have revealed thus far is Shiloh, the prototype, proving ground, and first sanctuary of the Commonwealth. But Shiloh was never intended to stand alone. Shiloh is Genesis. It is just the beginning. For every seed carries with it not just life, but the architecture for renewal. Building upon the success of Shiloh, we advance toward the establishment of the Commonwealth capital. A 1 to 200 acres sovereign polis. Designed from its inception to function as an economic, cultural, and spiritual heart of a growing Christendom. It will be a civilizational engine, the place where governance, faith, innovation, craftsmanship, and culture are expressed at full maturity. At scale, the Commonwealth capital is projected to generate $150 to $200 million or more in annual economic activity. Not as an ends in itself, but as a financial ballast required to sustain a free, faithful, and independent society. Expanding upon the institutional framework of Shiloh, it will be intentionally ordered into strategic districts, each serving a necessary civilizational function. The civic and spiritual district, holding the cathedral, council hall, and sacred gardens. Promethean Innovation District, laboratories, workshops, and a micro-industrial park. The cultural and hospitality corridor, grand hotels, amphitheaters, and artisan quarters. The wellness and health district, holistic health clinics and healing centers. The residential and homestead villages, multi-generational housing, and the farms. And let us speak plainly. We are not proposing another eco-village, and we are not building a lifestyle enclave. We are laying the foundations of a sovereign, regenerative, and Christ-centered civilization. And where Shiloh's the prototype, the Commonwealth capital, the flagship, destiny reaches farther still. The long vision is the creation of a federated network of regenerative polis sanctuaries, each autonomous yet interdependent, each aligned in doctrine, law, and economic structure. Our development unfolds in 3 decisive phases. Phase 1 is the first 10 years. For Shiloh, the model is proven, not only on paper but in real life. Governance, economy, infrastructure, culture, and cash flow operating together in harmony. Phase 2, years 10 through 20, the Commonwealth capital. The model is institutionalized at scale, a civilizational center capable of training leaders, launching ventures, and anchoring culture. Phase 3, the national network, years 20 and beyond. We look at a federation of communities, where the model is replicated, carefully transmitted through trained founding teams into new territories, and where each Commonwealth polis node becomes a job creator, a cultural incubator, and an engine for regional revitalization. Based on our master financial model, conservative projections indicate by year 10, Shiloh alone, at maturity, can reasonably target $47 million in annual economic activity. And with the expansion of the Commonwealth economic ecosystem, the capital is modeled to reach $110 to $135 million in annual revenue by its own year 10. With strategic scaling and replication, the upside can reasonably grow beyond $200 million annually. Now imagine 4 to 6 campuses over the next 20 to 30 years, a national network of Shiloh-like communities and Commonwealth-aligned campuses. We then move into a network-wide valuation that could credibly reach into the multi-billion-dollar range within a 25 to 40-year horizon, fully integrated with land, enterprise, internal communities, and regenerative capital. This is conscious capitalism in its highest form. Community wealth aligned with land restoration, success aligned with family flourishing, glory aligned with service to God and the common good. So let us now clarify a crucial point. Christendom is not the relic of an empire. Christendom is the ordered harmony of people who submit their lives to Christ and raise their hands together to build in His name. And no civilization endures without an economy worth its values. The Commonwealth economy is designed as a private, closed-loop system of stewardship, mission-aligned, jurisdictionally protected, and structurally resistant to speculation. It is not a market-chasing growth, it is an economy ordered toward flourishing. And it is built on 3 core instruments: the prosperity tokens, our private utility credits, circulating exclusively within the Commonwealth. They record labor, contribution, and service. They are not securities. They are not publicly traded. They are not vehicles for speculation. They are instruments of participation, used for goods, services, lodging, and access within the internal economy. Their purpose is velocity, alignment, and resilience. Next, we have member equity units. These are private, non-transferable records of a member's contribution and role within specific economic divisions. They do not promise passive profit. They yield participation-based returns, measured in prosperity tokens, according to the divisional performance and personal stewardship. They reward responsibility, not absentee ownership. And finally, we have stewardship NFTs. These are not deeds. They are land use licenses, issued under the ecclesiastical trust. They grant the right to occupy, build, and steward a plot, governed by covenant, not speculation. Land remains protected for generations, and the household receives security without commodification. And this is all built on blockchain for transparency, security, and efficiency. See, Shiloh has been engineered not only for mission, but for economic viability. But the aim is not maximum profit here. The aim is maximum prosperity. You see, legacy is not measured by what we accumulate. A legacy is measured by what we establish and who we raise up to inherit it. With that in mind, to keep the mission intact for decades and generations, we have built a lawful structure, layered, defensible, and coherent. The Commonwealth is governed and operates through a triad framework. First, we have the Crown, the ecclesiastical 508c1a trust. Its role is to hold the land, core assets, and the sacred mission in trust. Operates under First Amendment ecclesiastical protections, is automatically tax-exempt, and ensures generational continuity of purpose. Next, we have the Kingdom, which is our private membership association. This allows for us to have our closed-loop private economy, where all of our instruments operate, and the commerce, education, wellness, and culture all exist. And finally, we have the enterprise, the public-facing operations and revenue generation aspect. All this forms a multi-layered defense for the Commonwealth: the private jurisdiction and arbitrations, ecclesiastical status, closed-loop doctrine, and Howey neutralization. The Commonwealth does not seek to dominate systems. It outgrows them. It does not compete for power. It builds legitimacy. And it does not promise utopia. It offers something more wholesome, real. A lawful, faith-rooted framework where free people can flourish together, creating prosperity across generations. And we have designed a multi-phase development campaign to bring Shiloh from soil to sovereign polis. And now we stand at the threshold. The end of a presentation and the beginning of a civilization. This is the Genesis phase of the Commonwealth. A narrow window in which foundations are laid, directions are set, and destinies are sealed. Tonight we call upon the patrons, builders, and founders who will lay the cornerstone of this new Christian civilization, not in word alone, but in deed. At the core of all this, my why is real simple. I love my community. I love this land, and I love this country. And above all, I love God. So now I turn to you. If you are a father or mother longing for a safer and virtuous context to raise your family, Shiloh is for you. A man or woman who feels the ache of unrealized potential and seeks a project worthy of your gifts, Shiloh is for you. A donor or family office seeking a deep mission alignment and a legacy that your descendants will be proud of, Shiloh and the Commonwealth are for you. This is not a spectator project. This is about participation. Here's what I'm asking for you. Engage with the vision. Explore the Shiloh and Commonwealth materials on thefreedomlodge.org. Read the summaries, watch the presentations. Let your mind and heart grasp the full magnitude of the practicality of what we're building. Discern your role. Are you called to live here? To donate? To partner institutionally? To help architect, build, or serve in leadership? To support from afar as a faithful patron? Take a concrete step. Submit a soft commitment. Join the Shiloh interest group. Schedule a discovery call with me. Make a tax-deductible contribution to propel the Genesis phase. Introduce this project to aligned families, churches, and funds. We are at the crest of the hill. For nearly a decade, the boulder has been pushed upward. Now, by God's grace, the first patrons are here at the table. The foundational documents are drafted. The financial engines are modeled. The governance is framed. The land is identified, and the time has come. The light of dawn is on the horizon. The mandate before us is clear. To secure the 86 acres of ancestral land in Shiloh, and to establish Phase 1 infrastructure, our capital target is $3 to $5 million. This is not speculative capital. It is foundational, the kind that determines whether a vision becomes a footnote or a fixture of history. Participation is offered in 3 conventional pathways: patron endowment, institutional or strategic partnership, or joining our founders circle. And as for the resources, we will deploy them with discipline and transparency to secure the 86-acre estate, initiate microgrid, complete the site grading and foundational roadwork, construct the prototype village, activate festival grounds and regenerative agriculture systems, establish the governance, treasury, and operational backbone. This is the season where the core of the future Commonwealth is secured. We declare that Shiloh is a sanctuary of renewal, ordained and not merely constructed. We declare that the Commonwealth shall rise from this foundation. We do not build subdivisions. We build civilizations. We declare our unyielding commitment to stewardship, honor, and transparency, in law, in economy, and in leadership. We declare this a multi-generational work, designed to endure not for seasons, but for centuries. And above all, we declare our intention to honor God in all we build. With this covenant, we formally close the presentation and open the gates to founders. Let this be the moment when vision acquires stewards, when conviction becomes construction, and when history quietly records those who answered the call.